power.
You're watching News Channel 2 at sunrise with Gary Liberatore.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us this morning. I'm Gary Liberatore.
I'm Storm Tracker 2, meteorologist Eric Gage.
And as I was driving in this morning, you see some twigs on the road coming up.
Yeah.
I mean, devastation in other parts of the area.
Yeah, that's right. We had some strong winds push through last night. Unfortunately, lots of power outages in the terms of thousands, and then across the state, hundreds of thousands without power, especially up near Watertown. Their wind gusts up there reached over 60 miles per hour, and of course that would eventually cause power outages. And a look at the current winds right now. Thankfully, these strongest ones have since passed our area, and we're seeing calm winds, 5-mile-per-hour winds in Rome, 10 up in Watertown, but again, nothing like what we saw earlier, at least last night. A look at those peak wind gusts last night: 43 at Griffith Rome, Herkimer with 42-mile-per-hour winds, Woodgate with 40, and other areas heading into the 30-mile-per-hour wind gust range. And another thing we're monitoring too are those water levels. Just to look at some local dams, creeks, and streams here and there. And as you can see, there's only one Oneida Creek at Oneida that it will be rising into action stage, but so far nothing is expected to reach flood stage at this point. We'll continue to follow these numbers as the afternoon progresses and more of this melted snow and runoff rain continues to move into those areas. Currently 38 degrees, pretty warm out there right now, and the widespread rain is continuing to push east outside of central New York. And for today, those high temperatures this morning in the upper 30s, low 40s will cool down throughout the day into the low 30s and upper 20s, with some light snow developing this afternoon and this evening. And after that, lake effect snow will be the main story as we look ahead to tomorrow. Look at that full forecast is coming up. Back to you, Gary.
Eric, thanks. Those very high winds last night into the overnight definitely caused power outages and some major damage around our viewing area. Take a look at this viewer submitted video. We do have that right there. This is from Westernville. A tree came down and took out power lines and damaged 2 pickup trucks. There is some damage to the home as well. No reports of anyone being injured. And a wind record was set at the Watertown International Airport. The North Country's strongest wind gust was recorded there around 10 last night at 78 miles per hour. It hit 70 miles per hour in the 9 o'clock hour in Belleville, also up in Jefferson County. In Lewis County, a 63-mile-per-hour gust was recorded in the town of Harrisburg. And those high gusts are responsible for taking down power lines all over the state. In fact, here are the latest power outages from National Grid by county. Oneida County, more than 1,000. Herkimer County, just under 250. Otsego County, just 56. Hamilton County, 121. And up in Lewis County, more than 3,000. But just to put this all in perspective, Jefferson County, where those strongest wind gusts were recorded, there are more than 27,000 customers without power right now. Meanwhile, NYSEG is also reporting some power outages, but in much lower numbers. In Herkimer County, just 10 of their customers are without power. Otsego County, 56, and Hamilton County, 965. There is no word right now from either power company on restoration times. Now, power companies had a lot of heads up for this storm, and they do prepare for power outages as much as possible. News Channel 2's Kirk Tupai walks us through National Grid's preparation.
Weather conditions around the state are delivering a mix of rain, heavy snow, and gusty winds. National Grid's Strategic Communications Manager says they've already activated a comprehensive emergency response plan.
We started this week thinking that it was just going to be confined to northern New York, and now we're looking at a situation where it's such a much larger footprint of people that could be impacted.
The emergency response plan includes mobilizing external line crews, pre-staging crews and materials in the areas anticipated to be most impacted, and keeping in close contact with emergency management officials. If you lose power, your heat will likely be affected, and there are things National Grid warns against.
What we don't want people doing are things like using their gas oven or their gas stove for heat. You don't want to leave an unattended burner because that's a fire hazard. It's a burn hazard. And there's a potential for, if the flame goes out when you're not paying attention, that natural gas seeping into the house can cause a carbon monoxide emergency.
The responsibility of predicting where that damage might take place is placed on the National Weather Service and forecasts from local television stations.
When there's concern for wind damage and power outages, of course, everyone needs to know the risk for that, the potential wind gusts, where the winds set up. We've been doing research, especially on the location of where the strongest winds are likely to occur.
To report outages and downed wires, call 1-800-867-5222. If you happen to live in an area where you're covered by NYSEG, you can call 800-527-1131. In Utica, I'm Kirk Tsupai reporting for News Channel 2.
Well, Governor Hochul delivered her annual State of the State address yesterday.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired.
Good morning, welcome back. Happy Wednesday on the Cavity Tower Camera. It's showcasing there is some patchy light fog in some locations, especially in the higher elevations earlier on this morning. And a look at your morning commute cast, a live look at downtown Utica from our Nexus camera. Roads on the wet side, however, side roads, driveways, parking lots, they might still be a little bit slushy, so watch out for some slick spots on those as well. But again, those temperatures are supporting those light rain showers here and there in the mid to upper 30s. Same thing for Cooperstown, wet roads down there as well. Currently 45 degrees down there, so a very mild start in the southern valleys. And a look across the Utica area, I-90 and Route 8, Route 20, as you can see, roads all clear across parts of the area. And for today, again, aside from those slushy spots in the parking lots and driveways, the main roads should be okay. Same thing as you head up in some parts of the higher elevations. But as you approach the evening, light snow starts to develop. We think that with the wet roads and the warmer surface temperatures, it might not stick on the roads, maybe on those grassy and snowy surfaces here and there. But again, no travel issues for the most part are expected as you head out the door today. Gary?
Eric, thanks. Secretary of State Antony Blinken wrapped up tough times.
From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning and welcome back. Happy Wednesday. After very active weather yesterday and last night, things are starting to quiet down here this morning. Here's a live look at downtown Utica from our Nexus camera. Road's a little bit wet, but of course, compared to the road conditions in some locations of that wet, clumpy snow yesterday, we'll take this in terms of heading to work versus driving through that yesterday. A look at the current conditions, 36 degrees at Griffiths and Rome with a slight northern breeze, different than the strong easterly winds we saw yesterday. Feels like 32 degrees out, but around the state, here locally, different conditions as you head north and south. 39 on the mild side of a Big Moose Inlet, Westmoreland 39 as well, Little Falls 42, but as you head into the southern valleys, a very mild start to the day. 45 Cooperstown, 40 Skenevis, 43 Unadilla, 44 degrees over in Norwich. And a live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 Doppler radar. We have the widespread rain pushing out to the east. We've got some lingering spotty rain showers here and there. And a look at the broader picture right now. The strong low pressure center is just north and west of us, just north of Toronto. And you can see the wraparound rain showers pushing through parts of western New York at this point. Higher elevations could see a few flurries from this system today. But as we approach the evening, the back end of this will move through the area and produce some light snow showers. Again, we're not talking about anything major. Regarding those wind gusts, winds are still a little gusty here and there this morning, but again, not as windy as yesterday. But heading into this evening, a little bit on the breezy side, windy conditions move through once more. But these would be more westerly winds, what our area is typical of seeing, so wind damage is not a concern from that. Heading forward, we are tracking yet another system that could produce something like this heading into Friday night and into Saturday. Almost a similar setup with the same strength, low pressure, the same positioning, and the same pressure gradient heading into the early part of the weekend. And we're still in this overall pretty breezy and windy weather pattern for the next several days. And so in our Skycast for today, looking at a few spotty rain showers here and there, switching over to light snow by this evening with temperatures falling into the low 30s. Some locations could see that wet snow, but for the most part, it will be light in nature. Then overnight, lake effect snow takes place in the North Country, and that could see maybe 1 to 3 inches of accumulation. Might be a bit difficult to see that accumulating snow here south with 3 inches or more overnight in the Tug Hill Plateau. Even more snow will be expected tomorrow. I'll explain more about that coming up in the next half hour. For today, though, high 42, spotty rain turning to light snow this evening and into tonight. Isolated lake effect snow north with temperatures in the upper 20s. Your 7-day forecast, some light snow possible on Thursday from a weakening clipper system. On Friday, a lull before the next system we're tracking. It's been back to back to back here in central New York, and as soon as we get one windy, wintry mix system, another one's on our doorstep on Friday.
Boy, you are loving it. Keeps you busy.
Keeping busy is one thing. Loving it, I don't know.
I think so. I think you'll like it. It's exciting. Eric, thanks. The time right now is 5:20.
You're watching News Channel 2 at sunrise with Gary Liberatore.
Good morning once again, and thank you for joining us for this half hour. I'm Gary Liberatore.
And I'm Storm Tracker 2 meteorologist Eric Gage.
And the trucks are out this morning salting because there are some slick conditions.
Yeah, especially in parking lots, driveways, highest elevations. The main roads switched over to rain fairly quickly, but the main concern yesterday were those gusty winds, and unfortunately, some locations, especially north of us near Watertown, saw the absolute worst of the winds, but the power outage numbers were in the thousands here locally. A look at the current wind speeds right now. The winds have quieted down a little bit as the center of low pressure passes north and west of us. However, we're not done with the winds just yet. The winds will be on the stronger side today, but it's more of a strong westerly wind. This is not atypical for this area this time of year, so the concern for wind damage or power outages with this round of wind will not be nearly as high. And a recap of last night's maximum wind gusts. Griffiths and Rome with 43 miles per hour, Herkimer at 42, Woodgate with 40. Some locations, especially on those hilltops, on the northwestern side of those hilltops, were even higher, approaching in some cases 60, even north of us, 70 miles per hour. And look at those water levels right now. Nothing too concerning. There is, of course, Oneida Creek at Oneida rising to near action stage, but at this point, there's no alarming numbers here on those river monitors at this point. And downtown Utica, as you head to work this morning, wet roads for the most part, mild conditions relatively in the 30s. And rain showers continuing to push east of our area. A few spotty lingering rain showers here and there this morning. And for today, highs in the low 40s to upper 30s, cooling down throughout the afternoon with some light, somewhat wet snow expected as we approach the evening hours today. After that, though, we're talking about lake effect snow north of us tonight and more chances for windy conditions as we head into the next several days coming up. Back to you, Gary.
Eric, thanks. And don't forget, the Storm Tracker 2 forecast is never more than 10 minutes away. The rough weather along the U.S. East Coast is causing travel headaches. New this morning, we've learned more than 800 flights were canceled yesterday. That's according to the tracking site FlightAware, and more than 4,200 were delayed. At one point, the FAA ordered a broad hold on Charlotte-bound flights because of thunderstorms, and that had a ripple effect for travelers across the country. And speaking of headaches, the high winds overnight took down trees and wires all over. Let's get another check of the latest power outages from National Grid. In Oneida County, 966 customers are without power. Herkimer County, just under 400. Otsego County, 56. Hamilton County, 122. And the big one up in Lewis County, more than 3,000. Meanwhile, NYSEG is also reporting numbers here in our area. The numbers are now down to 0 in Herkimer County, 58 in Otsego County, and just one customer remains without power in Hamilton County. No word of when power will be restored. Other news now, the Rome man who stabbed his own parents to death will serve 25 years.
Welcome back. It is 5:43, and of course it's time to showcase the weather photo of the day. This one is going to be a cute dog enjoying the weather outside. The snow that fell over the weekend and into the early part of this week. April May is the dog here, a beautiful golden retriever. And of course, absolutely enjoying the fresh snowfall. It's the best thing when dogs just love all the fresh snow out there as it does fall. If you want to send in your photo, like this picture right here, send it to WKTV.com/weather/pics, or you go to our website, WKTV.com. The option will be on the top bar of the screen. We're looking to showcase all your cute animals enjoying the weather, or just a really cool weather shot of a sunrise, or of just snowfall, or anything cool that you see outdoors. A look at the current conditions right now, temperature-wise, in the 30s, with light rain here and there at Griffiths and Rome, with a decently northern breeze at 5 to 10 miles per hour. And a live look at current conditions across central New York, 40 inlet, 39 Westmoreland, surprisingly warmer up in the North Country than Westmoreland, 42 down in Cooperstown. And on the radar, real quick, we are tracking the end of the widespread rain and a few scattered rain showers here and there. Especially up in the North Country at this point. A return to some snow this afternoon, plus the latest on the potential for some more strong winds later on in the week coming up. Back to you, Gary.
Eric, thanks. With just 5 days to go until
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning. Welcome back. A lot of that active weather has since passed us. There were thousands of power outages, unfortunately, last night. Some reports of wind damage and at least some widespread rain pushing through the area that has since passed us to the east. And a lingering question is, of course, flooding concerns. Here's a live look right now at Sequoia Creek, and you can see barely in the background right there, the water levels have risen a little bit, but it's nowhere near concerning stage at this point. And taking a look right now at downtown Utica, again, quiet conditions for the most part, a few spotty lingering rain showers here and there with wet roads, but no travel impacts are expected as you head out the door this morning. Local temperatures in the 40s up in the North Country in some cases, 40 inlet. Warmer up there than it is down in Deansboro and Westmoreland here in the Mohawk Valley. And in the Southern Valley, still a relatively warmer start to the day. 44 in Cooperstown, 39 Oneonta, 43 down in Unadilla, down 98. And a live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 live radar. We're still seeing a few spotty rain showers pushing through the area. One currently moving through Boonville and Old Forge, but as you can see, additional spotty rain showers heading in from just west of Syracuse. And the bigger picture, we do have a strong low pressure north of us, which is keeping things quiet for the most part this morning. However, wraparound rain and snow showers will push through, turning over to almost entirely snow by the afternoon. Now, regarding wind speeds, winds will be on the breezy side today, so we're not done with the winds just yet. Wind gusts upwards of 30 to 35 miles per hour. And regarding winds throughout the remainder of the week, well, we've got another system similar to this arriving Friday night that could pose a threat to cause power outages and wind damage once more, with a strong southeasterly wind from a very similar setup to what we saw last night. On our Skycast again today, starting out with some spotty light rain showers. Light snow pushes through this afternoon and this evening. More accumulations are expected as you head up into the North Country, primarily the Tug Hill Plateau. The darker blue is right there, as surface temperatures will be right around freezing here in the valley, and it might be hard for that snow to stick. So overall, our snowfall forecast, 1 to 3 north of the valley, 3 inches or more in the Tug Hill Plateau, with trace to 1 inch everywhere else. And this is just for this afternoon and this evening. Heading into tomorrow and tomorrow evening, additional snowfall is expected, possibly close to a foot or more of snow in the isolated higher elevations in the Tug Hill Plateau. And so for today, again, highs in the low 40s and upper 30s, cooling down throughout the day with light spotty rain turning to light snow. Tonight, low 28 with isolated lake effect snow north. 7-day forecast, quieting down briefly on Friday. And again, we're tracking yet another similar windy system, bringing a wintry mix to our area Friday night and into Saturday.
Watching News Channel 2 at sunrise with Gary Liberatore.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'm Gary Liberatore.
And I'm Storm Tracker 2 meteorologist Eric Gage.
And that damage we just saw in Westernville may not be the only damage we're going to see because a lot of it happened overnight.
Yeah, that's right. And a quick recap of the winds. We saw winds between 40, in some cases 60, up north of us, 70 miles per hour. We'll get that in just a minute as well. And the overall numbers, 147,000 without power in New York State. And so we are lucking out, at least for the most part, here in central New York with the power outages here locally. And look at those wind speeds right now. They are calming down a little bit, but as you look out to the west, the winds are still on the stronger side. We're now right around the center of low pressure at this point. So in the center of high and low pressure, things are relatively calm, but again, the winds will pick up as the afternoon progresses. Recapping last night's wind gusts, 43 miles per hour at Griffiths and Rome, 42 in Herkimer, 40 in Woodgate. Even stronger wind gusts in the absolute hilltops on the northwestern side of those areas. And looking at water levels across the area, again, the water levels are still rising. At this point, we're not tracking anything too concerning regarding water levels reaching flood stage. There was only one, Oneida Creek at Oneida, reaching action stage by this evening. And for today, downtown Utica, wet roads, temperatures in the upper 30s with a few spotty rain showers pushing through our area this afternoon. Again, winds pick up this evening. Thankfully, not as strong as last night. We're not expecting the amount of power outages and wind damage as we saw in the past 24 hours, but enough to produce some gusty winds here and there. We're not done with the wind for the most part for the remainder of the work week. We've got stronger winds in store for us heading into Friday night and into Saturday. I'll explain in more detail in that full forecast coming up. Back to you, Gary.
Eric, thanks again. Those very high winds last night and into the overnight have caused power outages and some damage around our viewing area. Take a look at this video submitted by a viewer. This is from Westernville. As you can see, a huge tree came down and hit the house right there, and it also took out a couple of pickup trucks underneath. There is plenty of damage there and a lot of cleanup ahead today. No reports, though, of any injuries. And a wind record was set up at the Watertown International Airport. The North Country's strongest gust wind on record, recorded at 78 miles per hour. It hit 70 miles per hour in the 9 o'clock hour in Belleville, which is also up in Jefferson County. Now in Lewis County, just to south of Jefferson County, a 63 mile per hour gust was recorded in the town of Harrisburg. Now all those high gusts are responsible for taking down power lines all over the state. In fact, here are the latest power outages from National Grid by county. Oneida County, nearly 1,000 people still without power this morning. Herkimer County, just under 400. Otsego County, 56. Hamilton County, 167. And Lewis County with more than 3,000. But just to put it into perspective, Jefferson County, where those strong winds were in nearly 80 miles per hour, well, there are more than 27,000, nearly 28,000 customers right there without power as of right now. Meanwhile, NYSEG, which also serves viewers in our area, is reporting much lower numbers. Herkimer County, no one is without power right now. Otsego County, 57 people, and Hamilton County, just one person. Again, stay with us for all of the details on power outages throughout the day. Now, power companies had a lot of heads up for this storm, and they do prepare for outages as much as possible. News Channel 2's Kirk Tupai walks us through National Grid's preparation.
Weather conditions around the state are delivering a mix of rain, heavy snow, and gusty winds. National Grid's Strategic Communications Manager says they've already activated a comprehensive emergency response plan.
We started this week thinking that it was just going to be confined to northern New York, and now we're looking at a situation where it's such a much larger footprint of people that could be impacted.
The emergency response plan includes mobilizing external line crews, pre-staging crews and materials in the areas anticipated to be most impacted, and keeping in close contact with emergency management officials. If you lose power, your heat will likely be affected, and there are things National Grid warns against.
What we don't want people doing are things like using their gas oven or their gas stove for heat. You don't want to leave an unattended burner because that's a fire hazard. It's a burn hazard. And there's a potential for, if the flame goes out when you're not paying attention, that natural gas seeping into the house can cause a carbon monoxide emergency.
The responsibility of predicting where that damage might take place is placed on the National Weather Service and forecasts from local television stations.
When there's concern for wind damage and power outages, of course, everyone needs to know the risk for that, the potential wind gusts, where the wind's set up. We've been doing research, especially on the location of where the strongest winds are likely to occur.
To report outages and downed wires, call 1-800-867-5222. If you happen to live in an area where you're covered by NYSEG, you can call 800-527-1131. In Utica, I'm Kirk Tsupai reporting for News Channel 2.
Other news now, Governor Hochul delivered her...
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired.
Good Wednesday morning and welcome back. We're taking a look at those road conditions as you head out the door this morning and, of course, as you leave work this evening. First off, a live look at downtown Utica. Roads a little bit on the wet side, but again, the wet snow and the tricky travel we saw yesterday, the warm air has moved in and all the roads and lowest elevations are looking pretty quiet. In untreated surfaces such as parking lots and driveways, there still could be a thin layer of slush on the ground. That was the case, at least in my parking lot this morning. So a heads up for that it could be a little bit slick as you head out the door, with temperatures also in the 30s. And here's also a live view, not of Cooperstown, but also of Sequoia Creek. We've been monitoring this as the rainfall moved through last night. And of course, tracking the snowmelt. And it's risen a little bit, but thankfully not at a concerning stage right now. And lastly, a look at across central New York on the road conditions. You can see, of course, wet roads all across the area. And lastly, a look at the commutecast for your morning and evening. Again, no travel impacts are expected. Light, wet snow develops this evening in the afternoon hours, but for the most part in the lower elevations, we're not expecting that snow to stick too much to the roads. Gary?
Eric, thanks. Secretary of State Antony Blinken wrapped up...
From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning. Welcome back. Pretty active weather yesterday, and even with those gusty winds last night, thousands without power, unfortunately. Things will be gradually on the upside for today, but again, we're tracking yet another system similar to that as we head into the end of the work week. First, let's take a live look at downtown Utica from our Nexus camera. Heading out to work this morning, wet roads, slushy conditions in parking lots, in driveways, but again, the main roads should have no travel issues expected. Look at those current temperatures, same in Inlet as it is in Deansboro across a lot of central New York. 42, the warmest in the Mohawk Valley. Down in Little Falls. Southern Valley's 41, Norwich 41 degrees in Sherburne, 43 degrees in Cooperstown, and 39 degrees in Oneonta and Skanevis. On a live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 live radar, we're seeing some scattered light rain showers starting to move into our area after all that widespread rain has since pushed to the east. And we're not done with the active weather just yet because we are now in pretty much the eye of the storm, if you want to call it. The low pressure center is directly over us, especially just north in Toronto, lingering into parts of central New York. Wraparound rain and snow showers will move through the area as we approach the afternoon hours today, and as the temperatures cool down, the rain will switch over to light but wet snow. And our forecasted wind gusts for today, expected to climb back up into the 30 to 35 mile per hour range. Still a bit gusty, but more common westerly winds across the area that we usually see with those stronger wind gusts. So we're not expecting as much of an impact with the winds today as what we saw overnight last night. And again, we're not done with this windy pattern just yet. We've got windy conditions today, breezy on Thursday, Winds pick up again Friday night, and there could be another case for some potential for damaging winds, especially on those hilltops Friday night and into early parts of Saturday from a very similar weather system moving through the northeast. Our Skycast showing some spotty rain showers this morning, turning to some light wet snow this afternoon. Accumulations will be light in nature, if any, in the lower elevations, as those surface temperatures will be right around freezing, and of course those wet roads make it hard for that snow to accumulate. There will be some accumulation as you head up into the North Country, especially in the Tug Hill Plateau, as lake effect not only lingers throughout the overnight hours, but into early morning hours on Thursday as well. So snowfall forecast, trace to 1 inch for most of the area here, 1 to 3 in the higher elevations, 3 inches or more in the Tug Hill Plateau. This is only until this evening. We do have additional snowfall expected heading into tonight and into early parts of Thursday. As you can see here, the red area, even a small case of pink, could see an isolated area over a foot of snow in the Tug Hill Plateau. And so for today, highs in the low 40s, upper 30s, cooling down throughout the afternoon with spotty rain turning over to light snow. Tonight, low 28, isolated lake effect snow in our 7-day forecast. Again, we're tracking yet again another wintry mix turning over to rain and windy conditions on those hilltops as we enter Friday night into Saturday. And surprisingly, eerily similar system. It's got the same setup, a strong low pressure, wet snow turning over to wintry mix and rain. So we'll keep an eye on that system. It's been a pretty active past several days.
Yeah, after a very easy December.
Yes.
That's for sure. Eric, thanks. Be sure to like us on Facebook.
You're watching News Channel 2 at sunrise with Gary Liberator.
Good morning once again, and thank you for joining us for this half hour. I'm Gary Liberator.
And I'm Storm Tracker 2, meteorologist Eric Gage.
And if you are heading out this morning, some ponding on some roadways, and the salt trucks are out because it may be a bit slippery.
Yeah, slippery in some cases, especially in untreated surfaces, parking lots, driveways, a little slushy. But the main roads are fine as you head out the door this morning. And for those of you wondering about the wind gusts, because it was very windy last night, people lost power. There was wind damage. We'll get to that in just a minute too. But the winds are calming temporarily. They'll pick back up this afternoon. Not as windy, though, as what we saw overnight last night. In fact, look at those current wind gusts right now. Current wind speeds in the calm conditions at Hamilton and Rome. But as you look out to the western portion of New York, those winds are a little bit on the stronger side. 22-mile-per-hour sustained winds out in Buffalo. And recapping our strongest wind gusts last night, the lower elevations topped out at 40 miles per hour, 43 in Rome, 42 Herkimer, 40 degrees in Woodgate. Those hilltops reached 50, even 60 miles per hour, and you'll hear even up to 70 in some cases up near Watertown. Water levels, we're monitoring those as well, as widespread rain and snowmelt was another concern yesterday. And there is one area, Oneida Creek at Oneida, that is rising to action stage. But other than that, though, look at the rest of the river monitors. Nothing major is expected right now in terms of any flooding concerns at this point. We're also monitoring, of course, Sequoia Creek in Whitesboro. Downtown Utica, again, wet roads this morning. Temperatures mild, near 40 degrees, with some spotty light rain showers pushing through central New York for this morning. And then for today, those spotty rain showers turn over to widespread light snow this evening. After that, though, we're talking about yet another wintry mix system on the horizon, similar to what we saw last night, heading into the early part of this weekend. Full details on that coming up. Back to you, Gary.
Eric, thanks. And don't forget, the Storm Tracker 2 forecast is never more than 10 minutes away. Well, the rough weather along the East Coast yesterday is continuing to cause travel headaches nationwide. New this morning, we've learned more than 800 flights were canceled yesterday. That's according to the tracking site FlightAware, and more than 4,200 other flights were delayed. At one point, the FAA ordered a broad hold on Charlotte-bound flights because of thunderstorms, and that had a ripple effect for travelers across the country. And speaking of headaches, the high winds overnight took down trees and wires all over the area, and that led to many power outages. These are the latest numbers from National Grid here in Oneida County. Less than 1,000 people right now without power. In Herkimer County, 394, Otsego County, 56, Hamilton County, 122, and the big number in our area, Lewis County, with more than 3,000. Meanwhile, NYSEG is seeing even fewer numbers. All of the lights in Herkimer County are back on right now, as well as just one person in Hamilton County, but 58 people who are NYSEG customers are without power at this hour. But again, stay with us throughout the day for the latest power outage numbers. Well, the Rome man who stabbed his...
Good morning. Welcome back to News Channel 2 at sunrise. It is now time to welcome a new friend into the weather photo of the day. This one is April May in New Hartford, enjoying the snowfall we saw over the weekend and the start of the work week. And as you can see, she's absolutely enjoying the snow here. If you have a photo you want to submit to us here at News Channel 2, send it to WKTV.com/weather/pics, or go to our website, WKTV.com, and the option will be on the top bar of the website as well. We're looking for photos like this, showcasing your adorable dogs, your adorable pets, in general, any animals out there enjoying the weather, as well as any weather photos, sunrises, rainbows, winter weather. We will take anything that looks like it's a beautiful shot of the beautiful winter scene here in central New York. Currently 36 degrees with cloudy skies, calm winds at Griffiths and Rome, with a few spotty rain showers taking place right now on the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2, top of the radar. Isolated pockets of snow falling in the highest elevations. Heading into this afternoon, the rain will turn over to light snow showers, and then lake effect snow will take place off of the Lake Ontario area over Tug Hill overnight tonight. Time going to allow, and talking about those wind speeds in detail coming up. Back to you, Gary.
Eric, thanks. With just 5 days to go until the Iowa...
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning and welcome back. As you saw on the Cavy Tower camera, a bit foggy up here in Smith Hill and Deerfield. Hard to see down into the lower elevations. We've got misty conditions here and there with some spotty light rain showers moving into the area. Let's take a live view right now of downtown Utica from our Nexus camera. Again, wet roads. There's still some slushy spots in untreated surfaces, especially in those parking lots and driveways. So as you head out to your car this morning, watch out for that. As you can see here down Oriskany, things are looking pretty okay. Our sky watches this morning, sorry, I've been so busy with all the weather the past few days. Haven't been getting to these every morning, but here I am, I'm back with these. 37 New Hartford, 40 Clinton, 43 degrees in Verona Beach, 35 degrees in Westdale. Surprisingly mild in the North Country this morning, 40 degrees with Bill and Old Forge, 38 with Shawn and Inlet. And in the Southern Valleys, 38 Milford, 40 Hartwick, 40 degrees in Edmiston with Scott, 41 degrees with Tom and Lawrence, and 41 degrees with Patrick in Skenevis. And a live look at the radar right now, we're seeing a lull in rain showers in overall activity briefly as we are in the eye, if you could call it that, of the low pressure system as it continues to push through central New York. The actual official center of low pressure is just north of us, north of Toronto. Behind this, wraparound rain and snow showers on the trailing edge of this low pressure will bring with it, starting out this morning, spotty light rain showers turning to more scattered to widespread light snow as those westerly winds bring in those cooler temperatures. Regarding those winds, it will start to get breezy again today. Wind gusts between 25 to as high as 35 or 40 miles per hour. Not nearly as windy as last night, but again, the winds will be on the stronger side for today. And it still remains strong throughout the afternoon and evening. A bit breezy on Thursday, but that will be the least windy day of the next 4 days. Heading into Friday, winds will pick up once more, especially Friday evening into Friday night. A very similar system that what we saw yesterday is moving into our area again on Friday, so we've upped it to the potential for damaging winds Friday night and into Saturday. And on our Skycast, you can see here, starting out with a few spotty light rain showers, turning over to some light snow, wet in nature by this evening, with those surface temperatures hovering right around freezing. Then the snow will linger primarily in the North Country overnight tonight and into early tomorrow from lake effect. And you could see additional accumulations of snow primarily in the Tug Hill Plateau of 3 inches or more by this evening into tonight. 1 to 3 possible in the highest elevations north of the valley, and trace to 1 inch of snow possible heading into this afternoon here locally in the Mohawk Valley and south. However, as we head into tonight and into tomorrow, the lingering lake effect overnight tonight will produce additional accumulations. And as you can see here, the pink area could see over 1 foot of snow up in the Tug Hill Plateau, over 7 inches possible in the red area. And then as you head south, the sharp cutoff in the accumulation numbers as you head into the I-90 corridor. Could see in portions of the Lewis-Oneida County border to see those higher snowfall rates right about here just outside of Boonville. And of course, the highest elevations in Herkimer County could still see those higher snowfall accumulations as well. And so for today, temperatures starting out in the low 40s, upper 30s, spotty rain turning to light snow, cooling down throughout the day. Tonight, isolated lake effect snow, primarily north, a low of 28 degrees. Your 7-day forecast, turning quiet heading into Friday, but again, we're tracking a similar setup heading into Friday night and early Saturday, starting out with wet snow, then over to rain, wintry mix in the middle of that as well, then strong winds, surprisingly similar to what we saw yesterday and last night.
And we'll hopefully be seeing some more of the damage this morning. Hopefully there's not too much, though.
Yeah, I hope not. And so far we're still at, I think officially 140,000 without power right now, and I hope those numbers do go down throughout the morning.
And that's across the state.
Across the state, yes.
Eric, thanks. The time right now is 6:54. Still ahead on
News Channel 2 at 7 a.m. on CW 11 with Gary Liberatore.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us here on the CW11. I'm Gary Liberatore.
And I'm Storm Tracker 2, meteorologist Eric Gage.
And we've been talking about it all morning long, but those high winds got pretty high last night.
Yeah, wind gusts around our area, 30, 40 miles per hour. Some cases 50, 60, even, we'll mention in a few minutes, 70 miles per hour. The winds have calmed a little bit as the morning progresses, basically in the eye of the storm right now. And look at those current wind speeds at this point. A little breezy out there, winds of 8 miles per hour reported in Rome, 25 mile per hour winds out in Buffalo. So again, the winds aren't done with just yet today. However, they will not be as strong as what we saw last night. And a recap of those max wind gusts, 43 miles per hour at Rome, 42 Herkimer, 40 Woodgate, adding as you head up the North Country, 30 miles per hour up in Old Forge. And in some hilltops, they did see those wind speeds between 50 and 60 miles per hour. And unfortunately, wind damage and power outage associated with that as well. Checking those water levels across central New York, rising water levels near flood stage in Oneida Creek at Oneida, but that's the only real concerned area we're looking at this point. Everything else is rising or expected to rise, and no additional concerns is for those area streams and creeks. Downtown Utica, we're seeing some light drizzle falling over the area. Currently 41 degrees, wet roads, and for the most part, spotty rain showers expected for this morning. That turns over to some light snow this afternoon as those temperatures fall into the low 30s. Following today, we are tracking yet another system similar to what we saw last night with those strong winds, wintry mix, and wet snow in the forecast for Friday night and into Saturday. I'll explain in more detail in that full forecast coming up. Back to you, Gary.
Eric, thanks. The very high winds last night and into the overnight have caused power outages and some damage around our viewing area. Take a look at some video that a viewer submitted from the town of Westernville. A tree came down on top of a house and also on top of 2 pickup trucks right there. Plenty of damage for them to clean up today. Luckily, though, no reports of anyone being injured. And a wind record was set at the Watertown International Airport last night. The North Country's strongest wind gust recorded around 78 miles per hour. That was around 10 o'clock last night. It hit 70 miles per hour in the 9 o'clock hour in Belleville, which is also up in Jefferson County. Now down south of Jefferson in Lewis County, a 63 mile per hour gust was recorded in the town of Harrisburg. And all those winds are responsible for taking down power lines many parts of the state, including here in our area. In fact, here are the latest power outages from National Grid by county. Here in Oneida County, 960 people still without power at this hour. Herkimer County just under 400, Otsego County 56, Hamilton County 167, and Lewis County a lot more up there, more than 3,000 folks without power this morning. Now, just to put this in perspective, though, Jefferson County, where the strongest wind gust of 78 miles per hour was recorded, there are more than 27,000, nearly 28,000 customers right now without power. Meanwhile, NYSEG is also reporting some power outages. Herkimer County earlier this morning had some, but now down to 0. Otsego County 57, and Hamilton County just one customer still without power for NYSEG. And of course, stay with us throughout the morning and afternoon on the latest on the power outages. Now, the power companies had a lot of heads up for this storm, and they do prepare for outages as much as possible. News Channel 2's Kirk Tupai walks us through National Grid's preparation.
Weather conditions around the state are delivering a mix of rain, heavy snow, and gusty winds. National Grid's Strategic Communications Manager says they've already activated a comprehensive emergency response plan.
We started this week thinking that it was just going to be confined to northern New York, and now we're looking at a situation where it's such a much larger footprint of people that could be impacted.
The emergency response plan includes mobilizing external line crews, pre-staging crews and materials in the areas anticipated to be most impacted, and keeping in close contact with emergency management officials. If you lose power, your heat will likely be affected, and there are things National Grid warns against.
What we don't want people doing are things like using their gas oven or their gas stove for heat. You don't want to leave an unattended burner because that's a fire hazard, it's a burn hazard, and there's a potential for, if the flame goes out when you're not paying attention, that natural gas seeping into the house can cause a carbon monoxide emergency.
The responsibility of predicting where that damage might take place is placed on the National Weather Service and forecasts from local television stations.
When there's concern for wind damage and power outages, of course, everyone needs to know the risk for that, the potential wind gusts, where the wind's set up. We've been doing research, especially on the location of where the strongest winds are likely to occur.
To report outages and downed wires, call 1-800-867-5222. If you happen to live in an area where you're covered by NYSEG, you can call 800-527-1131. In Utica, I'm Kirk Tupai reporting for News Channel 2.
Turning now to Decision 2024 with just
From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning, welcome back. Happy Wednesday. Definitely gusty winds yesterday brought in some power outages in some locations and wind damage in others. Winds will be calm this morning, picking up this afternoon, but thankfully not as strong as we saw overnight last night. Live look at our Nexus camera looking at downtown Utica. Roads wet, some slushy spots on untreated surfaces, especially in parking lots and driveways, but again, main road should have no issues driving to work today. Our sky watchers reporting temperatures very uncharacteristic by January standards, at least for the morning hours. 40 degrees with Bob and Clinton, 37 Mike in New Hartford, Kathy, Verona Beach, 43 degrees, Todd and Westdale, 35 degrees. Heading up in the North Country, Bill and Old Forge is 40 degrees, Sean in Inlet with 38, so even mild up in the North Country as well. Diane in West Lawrence, 39 degrees, Scott in Evanston, 40 degrees as well. Deb in Hartwick with 40, and then finally Pat in Skenevis with 41 degrees. A look at the radar right now. We've got some spotty rain showers pushing through the area. The highest elevations, seeing it switch over to snow earlier than later. However, by this afternoon, all this rain that we do see here and there will eventually turn over to light snow, as you can see way out just outside of Buffalo. We are in kind of an eye, if you want to call it that, of this low pressure system, a very strong low pressure north of us. And things are looking quiet for the most part for now, but activity picks up this afternoon, especially with those wind speeds. Winds gusting between 25 and 35 to 40 miles per hour. Again, not seeing 50 or 60 mile per hour wind gusts, but I'd have to keep things very breezy and windy this afternoon. And unfortunately, we're not done with the possibility of damaging winds over the next 4 days. We've got a very similar low pressure setup, possibly stronger, arriving Friday night into Saturday. And Friday night will be the time when the strongest winds are likely to occur. So we'll follow that as the days do get closer. But again, for today, spotty showers here and there, even a peak of sunshine as well, with those clouds mixing in here and there. Regardless, this evening, we're talking about widespread to scattered light snow showers remaining throughout the afternoon and evening and the overnight hours in the North Country, especially up in Tug Hill. That's where most of the snow is expected. This is the expected snowfall until this evening, with 1 to 3 inches in the highest elevations north of the valley, trace to an inch south, and 3 inches or more in the Tug Hill Plateau. Even more snow is expected overnight tonight in the Tug Hill Plateau region, even seeing some shades of pink indicating a foot or more of snow in those absolute highest elevations. And so for today, high 42, light rain turning to snow tonight. Scattered lake effect snow north, low 28, dry heading into Friday.
You're watching News Channel 2 at noon with Gary Liberator.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us. The storm that came through last night and into this morning brought with it very high winds, which caused power outages and many cleaning up from storm damage. It is our top story here on this Wednesday afternoon, and we begin with a look at some of the storm damage in Westernville over in western Oneida County. This is some video that a viewer actually submitted to us. Again, this is Westernville, where a tree came down on top of a house and 2 vehicles. Again, there is plenty of damage there, plenty of cleanup going on as we speak. We do have a crew in Westernville at this hour, and they will have brand new video and some amazing interviews from some of the homeowners, we're told, that have been affected. We'll have that for you tonight on the Live at 5 News Hour and News Channel 2 at 6. Now, the highest wind of the storm was recorded up at the Watertown International Airport. The North Country's strongest wind gust was recorded there around 10 last night at 78 miles per hour. Now, a high wind of 70 miles per hour was recorded around 9 last night in Belleville, also up in Jefferson County. And just to the south of Jefferson County, Lewis County, a 63 mile per hour gust was recorded in the town of Harrisburg. And those high gusts are responsible for taking down power lines all over the state. In fact, here are the latest power outages from National Grid by county here in our area. Oneida County, 722 at this hour. That's down from about 1,000 earlier this morning. Herkimer, 245 right now, down from just about 400. Otsego County at 0 right now. And Hamilton County, that's actually up, that number, 502, and that's up from this morning. And up in Lewis County, over 2,200 right now, and that's down from nearly 3,100 earlier this morning. So progress is definitely being made. But just to put this all in perspective, Jefferson County, where the strongest winds were reported, still more than 28,000 customers without power at this hour since last night. So the major problem still up in the Watertown area and other parts of Jefferson County. Now, meanwhile, NYSEG, which also serves viewers here in our viewing area, is reporting much lower numbers, obviously. In Herkimer County, everyone has power restored. Otsego County, just 12 households, and Hamilton County, just 1. No word right now on restoration times, either from National Grid or NYSEG. And of course, keep it here on News Channel 2 and WKTV.com for the latest on power outages throughout the day. Now, also a couple of school closures to tell you about today due to the power outages. MVCC in both Utica and Rome are closed today due to their computer systems taking a hit from the storm. Also, Columbus Elementary School in Utica is closed. And Columbus is right near the MVCC campus in Utica. And we also received a call from a viewer in that area who says he has been without power since 8:22 last night. And we did check in with National Grid's outage map, and a total of 31 customers are still without power in that section of East Utica. Right now, again, no estimate as to when power will be restored. Meteorologist Eric Gage joining us now, and those winds obviously a lot stronger to the north of us than down here.
Yeah, we really lucked out. The strongest wind gusts were in Jefferson County, Lewis County, and of course the areas near Watertown, St. Lawrence County. Still just under 40,000 are without power up in that area right now.
Wow. A lot of people dealing with it. A lot of people cleaning up, obviously, so we'll probably get a lot more stuff from Watertown a bit later today as well.
Yes, that's right. And thankfully around here, those numbers, as you just mentioned, were a lot lower. And taking a look at the current wind speeds right now, it's still a bit breezy out there. The strongest winds are out in Buffalo as we are still, if you want to call it that, in the eye of the storm as it continues to push north and east outside of our area. But we're looking at breezy and windy conditions this afternoon. And for the most part, looking at quiet weather here and there with some spots of some snow and rain on the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 live radar. And behind that, you can see a push of some moisture. We're seeing some rain showers moving in from Syracuse, even some snow in the higher elevations. Throughout the afternoon, light rain in the Mohawk Valley will switch over to some light snow showers. And again, still a bit breezy out there for today. The winds will calm by tomorrow, but unfortunately, we have another storm system on our horizon that will bring strong wind speeds yet again. We'll explain exactly when and where in detail coming up. Back to you, Gary.
Eric, thanks. Vice President Kamala Harris was affected by the severe weather on Tuesday. Air Force Two was diverted on its way back from Atlanta due to weather conditions. According to the Vice President's spokesperson, the plane was diverted to Dulles International Airport instead of landing at Joint Base Andrews. The plane encountered wind shear, which is a change in wind speed or direction over a short distance. The plane landed safely, and Vice President Harris is now back at home in Washington. House Armed Services Committee Chairman Mike Rogers has announced a formal.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good afternoon and welcome back. Things are quieting down across central New York. Winds will pick up this afternoon with still some light snow showers this evening, but the strongest winds have since passed us to the north and to the east. A live look at downtown Utica from our Nexus camera. Again, looking pretty quiet here in the Utica area at this point, and those temperatures are already in the low 40s at this point, feeling less January-like. However, we will continue to cool down throughout the day as the winds shift from the south back to more westerly winds. And the system that passed through us, it was strong enough to where you could kind of call it a cold core hurricane with all the winds we've seen and just how strong the center of low pressure was. Now, we're not done with it just yet. You probably think this looks like a recap of the event with that leading edge of wet snow turning over to rain and gusty winds, but this is what's going to be happening as we head into Friday night and into Saturday morning. We've got another system almost identical to this heading into our area as we approach the weekend. And we'll talk about wind gusts still reaching back up into the 40 to 60 mile per hour gust range. As you can see here, winds gusting in the 20 and 30 mile per hour range right now, heading into this afternoon. Quieting down a little bit tomorrow, but again, as you approach the overnight hours Friday and into early Saturday morning, take a look at these wind gusts right here, almost identical to what we saw at least last night, 40 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts across those higher elevations. So this is something we'll continue to track. We've already put it as an alert day so far with the potential for yet again damaging winds Friday night and into early Saturday morning. The bigger picture, broad low pressure, strong low pressure. We're in the eye of the system right now as it continues to push north and east. And some wraparound rain and snow showers are pushing through central New York at this point. And a live look at the radar, we can still see some of those rain and snow showers moving in from the west. And so for today, those rain showers turn over to steady light snowfall with lake enhancement from Lake Erie throughout the afternoon and for the evening. Additional lake effect snow sticks around in the North Country during the overnight hours. An additional 1 to 3 inches of snowfall is expected for the highest elevations. Snow will be hard to stick here in the lower elevations with these temperatures still in the 40s. The roads will be very hard for the snow to stick to it. Tug Hill seeing 3 inches or more of snowfall for this afternoon and this evening. And looking ahead into tomorrow and then tomorrow night, additional snowfall could bring up those totals to near a foot in the highest elevations up here in Tug Hill. And a single snow band that could push south into the northern portions of Oneida and Herkimer County that could see a little bit more than 4 inches, between 4 to 9 inches of additional snowfall. We'll fine-tune that forecast as it gets closer. For today, high 42 degrees, cooling down throughout the afternoon, turning over to isolated lake effect snow tonight. And your 7-day forecast, again, alert day for Friday night and early Saturday with those strong gusty winds starting out as yet again wet snow, turning over to rain showers. Gary?
Eric, thanks. And as we showed you earlier, many are cleaning up in our area from storm damage. Welcome back. We begin this hour with the weather once again, as so many people are without power and some cleaning up from storm damage today. Many, Eric, as you mentioned, also keeping an eye on local waterways.
Yeah, and waterways are important, especially with the possibility of flooding, and of course with the flooding that happened at Sequoia Creek a few weeks ago in December. We wanted to keep an eye on the river levels, at least the creek levels there. And here's a look at the river monitor data coming in from the Weather Service. And this is Sequoia Creek at Whitesboro. It rose a little bit, but as you can see, it's starting to fall, which is tremendous news because
Good news, yeah.
you don't want to see the creek flooding again. And so that's the look at the river levels, or at least creek levels here in Whitesboro. Other areas also seeing a similar story as those water levels continue to fall in some cases or remain steady. Look at those wind speeds right now, still a bit breezy, especially on those hilltops, but again, the strongest winds are out in western New York outside of our area, but those winds will pick up as the afternoon hours progress on. And a live look at downtown Utica, overcast skies here and there, temperatures very non-January-like at 42 degrees, but that'll be the warmest temperature we see today as those cooler temperatures work in from the west by this evening. As you can see here, rain showers moving into the area, some snow in the higher elevations, and that'll be the main story throughout the rest of this afternoon. Rain slowly switching over to light but wet snow across parts of central New York, with temperatures cooling down into the low 30s. Now, this whole system has passed us to the north and east, but we're tracking a very similar system to arrive once more as we head into the weekend. Explaining that in more detail coming up. Back to you, Gary.
Eric, thanks. The U.S. and its allies have shot down a massive...
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good afternoon and welcome back. Happy Wednesday. Today, a little bit more quiet than yesterday. We're dealing with a few spotty light rain showers and snow here and there in the higher elevations. And a live look at downtown Utica. Roads a little wet, some light mist here and there in parts of central New York. But for the most part, much more quiet weather as we head throughout the afternoon. Those temperatures peaking in the low 40s for the next few hours, then cooling down into the mid to low 30s by this evening as more scattered snow showers push in from the west. Now, this right here looks like we're recapping the event we just saw with that heavy wet snow turning over to widespread rain, and of course those very strong winds. But this is what we're expecting Friday night and into Saturday. Almost a carbon copy of what we could call a almost cold core hurricane, with those centers of pressure very, very low, creating those very strong winds, especially up near the Watertown region in Jefferson County and Lewis County. Regarding those wind gusts for today, winds pick up once more. Wind speeds or wind gusts between 20 and 40 miles per hour. More likely than not, 30 miles per hour being the absolute max, but isolated hilltops could see close to 40. Then things quiet down a little bit by Thursday before we return to windy conditions Friday night and into Saturday, especially early Saturday morning. Take a look at this right here. 40 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts yet again, and the same wind direction from the southeast as a similar setup moves over our area. So we've included the potential for damaging winds yet again Friday night and into early Saturday, as we're still in a pretty breezy and windy weather pattern for the next 4 days. The bigger picture, the center or the eye of this system is continuing to push out to the north and east, and wraparound rain and snow showers are now pushing into central New York. And we can see it right here on the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 live radar. Snow in higher elevations, rain in lower elevations. It will turn over to entirely snow as those temperatures will gradually fall into the low 30s by this evening and into tonight. Then into early tomorrow, still lingering lake effect snow showers in North Country near the Tug Hill Plateau, seeing the most amount of snow. Then a weak disturbance moves through the area, bringing a chance of some more light snow showers Thursday afternoon and Thursday evening. That'll also linger into early parts of Friday. And regarding snowfall, we're thinking 1 to 3 inches of additional snow expected during the overnight hours and into early Thursday morning. 3 inches or more in the Tug Hill Plateau, and barely anything will really stick around in the lowest elevations. Beyond tomorrow night and into early Friday, we're talking about additional accumulations up here in the Tug Hill Plateau that could exceed over a foot in the absolute highest elevations, and a single snow band that we'll fine-tune that forecast with, where some locations in northern Oneida County near Lewis County could see between 2 to 4 and then 4 inches or more. For today, though, high 42, spotty rain turns to light snow. Tonight, low of 28 with isolated lake effect snow north. 7-day forecast. Quieting down Friday. Again, a similar setup to what we saw yesterday in store for us Friday night and into early Saturday, as still a pretty active weather pattern moves throughout the area. Gary?
Eric, thank you. It's been 2 years now since beloved
Mason Palace.
At first glance, it looks like the wind won in Westernville after last night's storm.
But on closer examination, it wasn't as bad as it looked. And the couple who lives in the damaged property, well, they're grateful tonight for a parting gift from the wild weather. News Channel 2's Jolene Ferris has it all in our top story tonight.
1 minute, Carol Nettleton was relaxing on the couch. The next,
I just heard this loud bang and the house shook.
that was Tuesday night off of Stokes Westernville Road in Westernville. Don Peavy was outside the house when it happened.
I was actually out here on the porch getting some firewood last night, and I heard a crack, and then that tree came down on that truck, and that house.
Upon closer examination, it appears that smaller tree branches basically came to rest on the house, not causing any significant damage. The tree trunks that fell on the 2 pickups in the driveway, different story.
And the truck is the biggest issue as far as damage goes, but
We are lucky. The size of that branch headed towards that window over there is just beyond me. This is crazy.
And maybe they even gained something from the storm. Little parting gift.
Well, we'll get a good 4 weeks worth of wood out of it.
Luckily, they have insurance. Jolene Ferris, News Channel 2.
Because of the storm, MVCC in Utica and Rome had to close today. We're told the school's computer system took a hit. Much of East Utica was without power at one point. Columbus Elementary School in Utica also could not open today because it was still without power this morning. Columbus will reopen tomorrow, and we're still waiting on word from MVCC.
Let's get you over to the Weather Center and Chief Meteorologist Bill Curtis.
Yeah, some pretty strong winds last night. We saw gusts 40 to 45 miles an hour. Today, gusty winds, just not quite as strong. I think most areas reported winds between about 30 to 35 miles an hour. The highest wind speed locally, Coldbrook today at 42. Highest winds over the past 24 hours, that goes to Watertown, 78 miles an hour last night just before 10 o'clock. Winds are still blustery out there this evening, but the winds will be settling back. We're tracking some scattered lake effect snow showers, especially north of the Mohawk Valley. Again, live look outside in downtown Utica, a temperature of 35. Tonight, some scattered snow showers. Temperatures will fall below freezing. Generally quiet weather for the short term with some snow accumulation tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening. But we're tracking another big weather maker as we head into the start of the weekend. Look at the forecast coming up. Jason, back to you.
Bill, thank you. New information and new video. And we're hearing from a forest ranger.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's Chief Meteorologist Bill Curtis.
Good evening. We're tracking some light snow tonight and tomorrow, dry weather on Friday, and then another highly impactful weather system for the weekend. This one has a lot of similarities between this and what just happened last night. It starts out as a burst of snow Friday evening. We're thinking after 8, 9, 10 o'clock is when a lot of that snow arrives. It turns over to rain overnight. The winds pick up overnight. We could be talking about wind gusts as high as 50 miles an hour, especially in the higher elevations. What is different about this one is what's in its wake. Much colder weather looks to arrive as we head into the weekend. We made Friday night an alert day for all of these changes expected. Live look at downtown Utica. Again, things look pretty quiet out there. If you're heading north, there's some light snow falling in Boonville and Old Forge, and that will continue tonight as winds turn into the west. Again, damaging winds possible Friday night and into Saturday. Sky watchers, it's been a mild day. I don't know if we can call it a January thaw. We just really haven't had that cold weather, right? But we did climb into the 40s this afternoon. 34 in Clinton, Barneveld 33, Curtis 31, Mohawk 36, across Southern Valleys, Milford with 34. We are tracking, again, some light snow tonight and tomorrow as winds turn into the west. There will be some lake effect snow accumulation across the North Country and Tug Hill tonight. That's where it stays. The Mohawk and Southern Valleys look pretty quiet. Temperatures tonight fall into the mid-20s. Thursday, a generally cloudy day. Widespread snow is expected in the afternoon and evening as winds turn into the northwest. We're expecting the snow to arrive in the Mohawk Valley in the afternoon and evening, just enough to make things slippery. We're not expecting a lot of snowfall, but a quick inch or two of accumulation is possible. Again, most of us see this in the afternoon and evening. 2 to 4 inches of snow tonight and tomorrow across the North Country, 4 to 8 inches for the Tug Hill. The winds will be picking up as we head into the weekend. Friday afternoon, wind gusts climb into the 20s Friday night. Again, we could be talking about damaging winds here. Winds over 50 miles an hour possible across the higher terrain. Snow north tonight, low of 28. Tomorrow, scattered snow showers in the afternoon, 36 for the high. Storm Tracker 2 7-day forecast. Friday looks dry, again dealing with that wintry mix and wind over the weekend. It's much colder next week and a much more favorable snow pattern. I think we're going to be seeing some lake effects. Right now it's mainly across the North Country, but we get into this pattern where we get snow and we actually keep snow.
To have fun in.
Yes.
Exactly, yes.
All right, Bill, thank you.
Still to come on News Channel 2 at 6. Find out.
Sports Station. Here's News Channel 2 Sports Director Spencer Davidson.
Here I am. Good evening, everybody. The American Hockey League announced today the rosters for its AHL All-Star Classic set to take place in San Jose, California Monday.
New tonight, water main leak in the village of Remsen. The leak is on Prospect Road. Now, if you live there, you can expect reduced pressure tonight and flow. Tomorrow, though, starting at 9 a.m., water will be shut off from Lincoln Avenue to Prospect for repairs. Once it's fixed, a boil water advisory will be in place until further notice. All right, the elephant in the room, we have more weather on the way. Chief Meteorologist Bill Cardis, we're dealing with an alert day come Friday night.
Yes, there's a lot going on with the weather. My advice is you're going to want to stay tuned just about every day because things are going to be changing a lot. Tonight we're going to be talking about snow. Tomorrow we're going to be focused on this. Thinking is similar to what we just dealt with last night. So we do have this alert day. You'll see the red on the 7-day. Biggest concern, the wind. We saw wind damage yesterday, and I think that's possible heading into Friday night. Let's take a look at what's going on out there tonight. Again, a lot of changes in the weather. We're back to seeing some lake effect snow showers. This is a live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 Doppler radar. Snowing to the north across Lewis County into Old Forge. This band of lake effect snow will develop and move south as we head into tomorrow, and many of us will see some accumulating snow as that moves through. Current temperature is 33 degrees. It's relatively warm for this time of night for January. Overnight lows will only drop down into the upper 20s. Snow continuing to the north. Again, widespread snow for tomorrow, and then we're going to be watching the next big one. Again, very similar to what happened last night. Look at your forecasts coming up. Jason, back to you.
Bill, thank you. At first glance, it looks like the wind won in Westernville. You saw this video after last night's storm, but on closer examination, it wasn't as bad as it looked. And the couple who lives in the damaged property here is grateful for a parting gift from the wild weather. News Channel 2's Jolene Ferris reports tonight.
1 minute, Carol Nettleton was relaxing on the couch. The next,
I just heard this loud bang and the house shook.
that was Tuesday night off of Stokes Westernville Road in Westernville. Don Peavy was outside the house when it happened.
I was actually out here on the porch getting some firewood last night, and I heard a crack, and then that tree came down on that truck, and that house.
Upon closer examination, it appears that smaller tree branches basically came to rest on the house, not causing any significant damage. The tree trunks that fell on the two pickups in the driveway, different story.
And the truck is the biggest issue as far as damage goes, but
We are lucky. The size of that branch headed towards that window over there is just beyond me. This is crazy.
And maybe they even gained something from the storm. Little parting gift.
Well, we'll get a good 4 weeks worth of wood out there.
Luckily, they have insurance. Jolene Ferris, News Channel 2.
New information, new video.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's Chief Meteorologist Bill Curtis.
Good evening. We're taking a live look in downtown Utica. Pretty quiet night tonight across the Mohawk Valley. But we are tracking some light snow showers to the north, and this is some lake effect snow that's taking place. A live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 Doppler radar. That band of lake effect snow has developed across a west wind over Lake Ontario. It's not all that cold tonight, but the lakes have been so warm. It's been a very warm December, and they're ready to go. It's not going to take much to get lake effect snow once that colder air settles in. Strong, damaging winds possible Friday night. Our next weather maker will be similar to what we dealt with last night, with peak wind gusts over 50 miles an hour. Radar and satellite image shows lake effect snow. That's going to be our focus for the short term, as many areas do pick up a light snowfall accumulation late tonight and tomorrow. The lake effect snow stays to the north overnight. Temperatures will drop down into the upper 20s. Lake effect snow will be moving southward tomorrow afternoon. It starts out dry in the morning with cloudy skies. By 2 p.m., the snow starts to expand across the Mohawk Valley, and many of us see some accumulating snow in the afternoon and evening, just enough to make things slippery, but not enough to cause any serious concerns. Lake effect snow showers come to an end tomorrow night. Weather looks pretty quiet on Friday. If you have any errands to run, heading to work or home from work Friday, should be fine, but things start to change quickly Friday night as snow approaches. Snow tonight and tomorrow, thinking a general trace to 2 inches of accumulation for the Mohawk and Southern Valleys, 2 to 4 inches possible north of the Mohawk Valley, 4 to 8 inches of accumulation along the Tug Hill. Winds become potentially damaging again Friday night. In fact, we'll look ahead here. Throughout the day Friday, the winds pick up. After midnight, that's when we're expecting some of those stronger winds to arrive through early Saturday morning, and then the winds will start to subside. As if that wasn't enough to talk about, after we deal with the mess on Friday night and Saturday with that wintry mix and wind, the stage looks set for potentially heavy lake effect snow into the weekend. The prevailing wind direction looks southwesterly, which means it favors the North Country and Buffalo region, and some of that heavy snow stays out of the Mohawk Valley. But we've got to keep an eye on that because it wouldn't take much for that snow to drop south. Snow to the north tonight, low of 28. Tomorrow, snow showers, 36 for the high. Storm Tracker 2 7-day forecast, mostly cloudy Friday, 38. Snow breaks out Friday evening. The winds pick up Friday night. Snow turns over to rain early Saturday morning. And then cold weather settles in. Lake effect snow showers, high temperatures in the 20s Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. We'll be right back.
Tonight, we bring in Chief Meteorologist Bill Curtis. And while there's some snow, we're talking about, real quick, the alert day that's set for Friday night because rinse and repeat, right?
Yeah, I think we're going to do this again. There's a lot of weather going on over the next couple of days, and I just recommend, my advice is to pay attention, track things every day, because it's going to be hard to keep up with this.
Yeah.
But there's going to be a lot of changes in our weather here over the next couple of days. And yeah, we're highlighting this Friday night, obviously because it's the biggest one of the next 7 days. But we do have impactful weather tomorrow, too. In fact, we're tracking some lake effect snow. Even though we don't expect a lot of accumulation, a lot of this happens for the evening commute. And a quick fluffy inch or two of accumulation could be enough to make things a little bit slippery on your drive home. Live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 Doppler radar. Lake effect snow showers are falling north of the Mohawk Valley. There will be accumulation in this area overnight. Current temperature is 33 degrees. It's actually pretty mild out there for this time of night for January. But we do have some much colder weather that will be arriving, some consistent cold looking ahead. Tonight, the snow stays to the north, a low of 28. That snow is dropping into the Mohawk Valley tomorrow. We're tracking that along with another wind maker as we start the weekend. We'll look at the forecasts coming up. Jason, back to you.
Bill, thank you. At first glance, it looks like the wind won in Westernville. But after last night's storm, a closer examination, it wasn't as bad as it looked. And the couple who lives in the damaged property, they're grateful for a parting gift from the wild weather. News Channel 2's Jolene Ferris reports.
1 minute, Carol Nettleton was relaxing on the couch. The next,
I just heard this loud bang and the house shook.
that was Tuesday night off of Stokes Westernville Road in Westernville. Don Peavy was outside the house when it happened.
I was actually out here on the porch getting some firewood last night, and I heard a crack, and then that tree came down on that truck, and that house.
Upon closer examination, it appears that smaller tree branches basically came to rest on the house, not causing any significant damage. The tree trunks that fell on the two pickups in the driveway, different story.
And the truck is the biggest issue as far as damage goes, but
We are lucky. The size of that branch headed towards that window over there is just beyond me. This is crazy.
And maybe they even gained something from the storm. Little parting gift.
Well, we'll get a good 4 weeks worth of wood out of it.
Luckily, they have insurance. Jolene Ferris, News Channel 2.
And new information tonight, new video, as we're hearing from a forest ranger.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's Chief Meteorologist Bill Curtis.
Good evening. Welcome back. We're taking a live look in downtown Utica. Pretty quiet night across most of central New York. We're tracking some lake effect snow falling north of the Mohawk Valley tonight towards northern Oneida County and Lewis County. This snow will continue to fall throughout tonight along a west wind. Eventually, this snow is going to drop south and bring many of us a light accumulation tomorrow. The winds will be ramping up Friday night into Saturday. We could be seeing damaging winds again as we head into early Saturday morning. The winds will gradually subside as our next powerful area of low pressure takes a very similar track to what we just experienced yesterday. Radar and satellite image, again, lake effect snow showers will continue tonight. Again, the wind direction changes tomorrow. Overnight, continuing to see some snow accumulation north of the valley. It's quiet across the rest of the area. Overnight lows drop into the upper 20s. Thursday morning, a dry start to the day for your morning commute. Again, the exception being to the north. Snow showers will drop southward throughout the day as the wind direction turns into the northwest. A lot of us see at least a light accumulation of snow in the afternoon and evening. Snow comes to an end tomorrow night, and the weather looks dry on Friday. If you have any plans heading out on Friday, it looks quiet up until 7 to 8 o'clock at night, and then widespread snow is expected to develop. Snowfall accumulation tomorrow, a trace to 2 inches in the Mohawk and Southern Valleys. North of the valley, there will be snow accumulation, 2 to 4 inches across northern Oneida County towards Old Forge, 4 to 8 inches of accumulation in the Tug Hill. Again, this takes us through tomorrow evening. Winds ramp up ahead of the next weather maker. We're looking at the possibility of damaging winds again. Peak gusts over 50 miles an hour in the higher elevations. This would be late Friday night into very early Saturday morning when those winds ramp up. Once again, coming in from the southeast. Again, we'll continue to keep an eye on that. Winds will be dropping off as we head into Saturday afternoon. If that wasn't enough to talk about, we've got a big pattern change that's going to set the stage for potentially heavy lake effect snow over the weekend. The primary or the wind direction looks to be generally along the southwest, which favors Watertown, the North Country, and Buffalo. We'll keep an eye on this because, again, it looks like a long duration lake effect event. Could be taking days for that snow to accumulate. Snow to the north tonight, low of 28. Tomorrow, snow showers, 36 for the high. Storm Tracker 2 7-day forecast. Dry on Friday, 38. Again, the alert day for what happens late Friday night into early Saturday. Wind and that wintry mix. An early high of 41. The weather patterns set the stage for some pretty heavy lake effect snow to the north and cold temperatures here. We're in the 20s heading into early next week with overnight lows in the teens. We'll be right back.